Hey everybody, welcome back. If you are moving to Abilene or thinking about moving to Abilene, something you probably want to understand is what is the layout and what is the feel of different parts of town. Some areas are filled with older established homes and massive trees, while other parts of town are exploding with brand new construction and rapid growth. When researching Abilene or watching things on Abilene, it can sometimes get confusing when you hear things like the Loop or ACU or Dyess or Wiley, even the smaller towns of Buffalo Gap and Tuscola. So what we are going to do in this video is break down the overall layout of Abilene, the major sides of town, the types of homes typically found in each area, and where most of the future growth is happening. And this is really going to be the foundation for future videos where we'll dive deeper into specific neighborhoods and communities in Abilene. I'm Zach Vines with the Vines Realty Group, your local real estate expert, and the purpose of this channel is to be your #1 resource for all things Abilene and the local real estate market. So like this video, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment with any question you have, and fill out the form in the description below, or you can simply text me Abilene to get connected to me and my team. So let's start out with understanding the layout. A simple way to understand Abilene's layout is that there is a railroad track running through the center of town that generally divides North and South Abilene. South First Street and North First Street are major roads that follow along those tracks and act as a central reference point throughout the city. Another major reference point you'll constantly hear people mention is the Loop. The Loop circles around much of Abilene and is made up of portions of Interstate 20, Highway 8384, and Loop 322. Once you understand where the tracks and the loop are located, it becomes much easier to understand how the city is laid out and where different neighborhoods and areas of town are located. So let's start on the north side of Abilene and the northwest side. This is where you'll find many of the city's older or more established neighborhoods. A lot of these areas have larger mature trees, older homes with more character, and neighborhoods that feel more settled compared to the newer subdivisions being built further south Abilene. One thing to know about parts of northwest Abilene is that there are more homes located in flood zones due to the creeks in that area. Now, when people hear flood zone, they sometimes immediately panic, but the reality here in Abilene is that we have a pretty dry climate and major flooding is actually fairly rare here. The bigger factor for most buyers is usually the added flood insurance cost, which can often run somewhere around $50 to $100 more per month depending on the property. The north side of town is also where downtown Abilene is located, and downtown has gone through a major revitalization over the last several years. More restaurants, coffee shops, events, apartments, and entertainment have been added, and it's become a much more active part of the city than it used to be. Further north, you also have Lake Fort Phantom. Historically, there hasn't been a huge amount of development out there, but we are starting to see more homes and some newer construction gradually being built in that direction as the city continues expanding outward. Now, over on the northeast side of Abilene, this area is heavily influenced by Abilene Christian University, Hardin-Simmons University, and Hendrick Hospital North. Because of ACU, you'll find a mix of older rental homes that are commonly used for student housing, along with established residential neighborhoods that feature larger homes that are newer, but typically not brand new construction. This part of town has a very different feel compared to South Abilene. It's more established overall and tends to have a mix of longtime residents, university influence, medical professionals, and investment properties because of the proximity to both the hospital and the university. Now heading over to the west side of Abilene, this is where Dyess Air Force Base is located. As you continue west beyond Abilene, you eventually reach Texas, which is where the large data center is being built. That expansion has become one of the major economic drivers affecting housing demand throughout the Abilene area right now. And if you continue even further west, you'll reach Merkel, Texas, which is about 20 minutes outside of town. Merkle gives buyers more of a small town environment while still being close enough to commute into Abilene fairly easily. On the east side of Abilene, about 20 minutes out, you have Clyde, Texas. Clyde has become one of the more desirable smaller towns surrounding Abilene, especially for buyers who don't mind a brief commute but want a quieter small town atmosphere. They also have some new construction homes going out there because there is growth and development in that area. Now let's talk about the south side of Abilene, which is really where most of the rapid residential growth is happening. If you stay inside the loop on the south side, you'll find many of Abilene's established neighborhoods like Brook Hollow and Elmwood. These are areas located in Abilene schools and are known for mature trees, established homes, and larger lots. But once you move further south outside the loop, the field changes a little bit. This is where you start seeing many of the newer subdivisions and much of the city's newest housing development. Areas like Tuscany Trails and Mesquite Forest offer newer homes that are not necessarily brand new, but still feel much more modern than older parts of town. And then as you continue further south into Wiley Schools, that's where you'll find many of the brand new construction neighborhoods that are growing rapidly right now. Communities like Harvest Subdivision, Carriage Hills, and several others have become extremely popular as more buyers continue moving into the area. Honestly, when people talk about the growth side of Abilene, they're usually talking about the south side because that's where a huge amount of the residential expansion is happening. As you continue further south outside of Abilene, you end up at Buffalo Gap, Texas and Tuscola, Texas. These areas are popular because you get more of a country or small town feel while still being close to Abilene. Buffalo Gap is also home to Abilene State Park, which is a big attraction for outdoor activities and gives that area a very different atmosphere compared to living directly in town. Buffalo Gap has a very small town feel and typically has more trees, more greenery, and there's more deer out there that you can see in the evenings. Tuscola in particular has a large amount of new construction growth recently. A lot of buyers wanting newer homes, more space, and highly desirable school districts end up looking in this direction. So this is really just a high-level overview because every part of Abilene is a little different. Once you start diving deeper into specific neighborhoods and subdivisions, you start to see the difference. So in future videos, we're going to break down areas individually so you can really understand what each area of town and each neighborhood feels like before moving here. So if there's a neighborhood or an area you want me to cover next, drop it in the comments below. And if you are unsure if you should buy a brand new home or a pre-existing home, check out this video here and I'll see you there.